Hello, everyone. I'm Frizzell Fowler. I'm part of the Health Promotion Program, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. Before we formally begin, I'd like to emphasize that the views and opinions expressed in this webinar are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the official stance of the Health Promotion Program, its affiliates, or its partners. As this is a virtual event moderated by the Health Promotion Program, please give us a few minutes to reiterate our rules in this webinar. We would appreciate if everyone can be mindful of the following. First, please keep your microphone muted unless asked to speak. Please message any of the organizers. You will see in their names org tech for any assistance with technical concerns. For everyone joining us today, kindly rename yourself as your affiliation underscore surname and first name so we can easily identify you during our Q&A portion. For any questions directed during their talk or reserve them during the Q&A portion of the event. During the Q&A, if you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function to be acknowledged. Turning on your camera is optional, but we do encourage it to create a more interactive environment. This webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to the health promotion social media platforms. By staying in the room, you consent to having your likeness recorded. At the end of the webinar, we will also be flashing an evaluation form, which evaluation form will result in no generation of your certificate. If everyone understands this house rule, can I get a thumbs up from our audience? Thank you very much. So, since this is a virtual event, we do want everyone to have interaction with us, the host, the organizer, and also the speaker. So we prepared a short icebreaker for everyone joining us today. So this will be a true or false type of icebreaker. And for everyone in the call, feel free to respond in the polls provided in your screen. So there are three questions, and feel free to answer in 2 minutes. So we're receiving around 50% of the participants. Okay, around 65%. You still have a minute to answer our icebreaker. Last 30 seconds to record your answer in our poll. Last 10 seconds. All right, we'll be closing the poll now, and let's see how our audience responded to our three questions. So, for the first question, 97% of our audience said that alcohol use is a significant risk factor for dementia. So the correct answer is true, and 34 out of our 35 respondents got the correct answer. For the second one, around the world, minimum legal drinking age ranges from 10 to 21 years old. So for this question, there is a 60-40 distribution of the responses, and only 60% got the correct answer, which is true. So later on, let's hear about how the legal drinking age in the Philippines, and get to know what is the applicable age in our country. And lastly, for the third question, true or false, you can sober up with a cup of coffee. So 14% answered true, while 86% answered false. And the correct answer is false. So I hope that some of uh, these misconceptions can be shared to your friends as well, and let us get to know more about alcohol and its harms later on as we go along this webinar. So again, thank you so much for partaking in this short activity. And now we move on to the formal part of the event. So, Unbottling the Truth and Alcohol webinar series. In commemoration of World Health Day, the UP National Institutes of Health Promotion Program presents the Unbottling the Truth webinar series. This CPD accredited webinar is in partnership with the Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians and co-presented by the Syntax Coalition. Before we formally start our event, I would also like to welcome the program lead of the Health Promotion Program, Dr. Catherine Reyes, to give her opening remarks. Dr. Kathy, take it away.
Recording in progress.
All right, so it's already afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Health Promotion Program, it is my distinct honor to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you who have joined us today for this crucial webinar, Unbottling the Truth, Alcohol's Overall Effect on Health. We are fortunate to have with us two esteemed experts who have generously taken the time to share their profound knowledge and insights. Please join me in acknowledging Dr. Donnabel Tubera-Panes and Dr. Payawal. Their expertise will guide us today as we delve into the various health risks intricately linked to alcohol consumption, including its often insidious long-term effects on our body. Over the course of this webinar, we aim to thoroughly explore the complex connection between alcohol use and a range of chronic diseases, including cardiovascular disease, various forms of cancer, and mental health disorder. It is our sincere hope that this session will highlight the paramount importance of raising awareness and promoting effective interventions that actively reduce alcohol-related health risks within our communities. Today's important discussion closely aligns with the spirit of this year's World Health Day celebration, which carries the powerful theme of healthy beginnings, hopeful future. By understanding the impact of alcohol on our health, we are taking a vital step towards fostering healthier beginnings for individuals and paving the way for more hopeful futures for all. Importantly, we can all participate in making our communities safe from the ill effects of alcohol consumption. We are confident that this webinar will be informative, insightful, and ultimately empowering. Thank you once again for your participation, and let us now embark on this important journey of unbottling the truth about alcohol and its overall effect on our health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Catherine. We are grateful for this platform and from the Health Promotion Program. We echo the appreciation to our speakers and our audience for today's event. But wait, there's more. For this webinar, Dr. Eva Maria Cotionco de la Paz also graced us with a special message for everyone attending this event. Dr. Eva is the Executive Director of the National Institutes of Health, also currently the Program Director for the Genomics Health Program of the Philippine Genome Center. Her current research interest includes genetics of monogenic and complex genetic conditions in the Filipino population, such as birth defects, cancer, diabetes, X-linked dystonia Parkinsonism, and as well as population genetics, particularly genetic diversity on indigenous peoples. So let's hear what Dr. Eva has to say for today's event.
Afternoon, and welcome to today's webinar, Unbottling the Truth, the Overall Effect of Alcohol on Health, hosted by the Health Promotion Program of the National Institutes of Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. This webinar is in partnership with the Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians and the Syntax Coalition. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Michael Kaampued, President of the Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians, our guest speakers, Dr. Donnabel Tubera-Panes, Medical Officer from Baguio City Health Services Office, and Dr. Diana Payawal, Chief of the Department of Hepatology of the Cardinal Santos Medical Center, and of course, Dr. Catherine Reyes, Research Faculty of the NIH, lead convener of the Health Promotion Program, and her HPP team. Since the establishment of the Health Promotion Program in 2023 at the NIH, it has continuously shown its commitment to engage key stakeholders in meaningful discussions on relevant public health issues such as the effects of alcohol on mental health and family ties, road safety, and gender-targeted marketing. This time, the Unbottling the Truth series aims to raise awareness about the physical, social, and economic harms associated with drinking alcohol. Alcohol is a mainstay in celebrations, social gatherings, and even sports in the Philippines. Even popular basketball teams in the Philippine Basketball Association are named after alcoholic beverage brands. But beyond its cultural and commercial presence, alcohol has significant health implications. According to the Department of Health, in a mobile phone survey in 2019, alcohol consumption was high, with 4 out of 10 Filipinos reporting that they have drank alcohol 1 month prior to the survey, and 1 in 3 Filipinos reported having 6 or more drinks in a single occasion. Excessive alcohol consumption has been linked to various health risks, including liver disease, heart problems, and even increased risk for accidents and injuries. Today, we aim to take a deeper look at the science behind alcohol use, its effects on the body and mind, its impact on public health, and what we can do to make informed choices. We encourage everyone to actively participate in this webinar, and the next time you celebrate special occasions, we hope you keep in mind the effects of drinking alcohol on your health and the people around you. It's a holiday today, but you chose to spend your time to listen and learn from this webinar. We promise it will be worth your while. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eva. We are grateful for your kind words and support for this event and for the program. The knowledge you have shared with us is just a teaser of how much evidence there is in alcohol harms. We are very excited to hear more about this in the next part of this event. Now, to our first esteemed speaker, who has been very gracious of her time and effort to join us today. Dr. Diana Alcantara Payawal is the current chair of the Hepatology Unit at the Cardinal Santos Medical Center and professor at Fatima University Medical Center. She is a fellow of several prestigious institutions, including the Philippine College of Physicians and the American College of Physicians. She is the recipient of the Health Leadership Scholarship Program from Harvard Medical School in recognition of her excellence in change management. She is currently the chairperson of the World Congress of Internal Medicine and was the first woman president of the Asian Study of the Liver. She received her master's degree in tropical medicine and hygiene at Mahidol University, Bangkok, Thailand. Her research interests are gastroenterology, hepatology, internal medicine, interventional sonology, digestive endoscopy, and tropical medicine. Without further ado, let's give Professor Diana a virtual round of applause.
Um, Good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, Doc.
Okay. Thank you very much for this kind invitation. And of course, I'm very interested to impart to you the latest as far as alcohol drinking is concerned. Let me share my slides. Uh, wait. Uh, okay. Ay, ano ba yan? Just a minute. Okay. Okay. Can you see my slides now? Not yet. Okay, let me
Not
share.
yet po, Doc.
Ano siya? Can you share? Can you see my slides?
Not yet po, Doc. Let's wait for a few minutes while our tech team tries to resolve the issue. So far po, has everyone took their lunch already? This event is during our lunchtime, so I hope everyone had an early lunch or a heavy breakfast for us to fully enjoy this webinar from the Health Promotion Program. Can I see a thumbs up po sa mga nag-almusal or nag-lunch na? So far, it's good to see naman po that
Okay.
most of
Okay.
us, yes, yan. So thank you so much for everyone, and now let's bring the spotlight back
You have
to
to
Prof.
allow me to you have to allow me to share my slides. Can I share it now? Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, Doc. Perfect po.
Can you see it now?
Yes, Doc. We'll just like to request if you can put
Oh,
it in
wait.
slideshow mode.
See, allow. It is in slideshow mode. Slideshow na siya. Is it in slideshow?
Yes, now it
I
is.
cannot hear you.
Now it is, Doc. Yes. Thank you very much po.
Okay, sige. So, okay. Okay. So, good afternoon to everyone. I apologize for minor glitch. I'm going to discuss to you the overall effects of alcohol on health, president of the Philippine College of Physicians, and of course, as a steering committee member of the Asian Pacific Study of the Liver. Okay. So let us just first discuss terminologies because along the way there are new strategies that I'm going to discuss. So now we don't use alcohol liver disease, we use alcohol use disorder. And when you talk of liver disease, it's alcohol related liver disease. And if it is cirrhosis, wherein your liver starts to increase your risk to develop the liver cancer, this is cirrhosis due to alcohol and the rest will come forth. Why this was done is because we do not want the stigma that is related to that. And you need to understand that these patients hides. I am a hepatologist, and when often do you drink, especially if they drink a lot, I don't look at them, I look at the wife. Because usually they will tone down the amount of alcohol they for a fact that this is going to be a problem as and therefore the terminologies now are more or less friendlier to them. So we use not alcoholic but alcohol related liver disease. So I hope that understands different kinds of alcohol drinking. One is when we use one standard drink, that's 12 grams of alcohol, or one bottle of beer. Harmful drinking is when it is causing damage to either physical or mental health. Heavy drinking is known as 60 grams of pure alcohol on one occasion. And binge drinking, I think everybody has been part of this binge drinking, wherein after an exam or after if there's a big birthday party, an anniversary, you go out and drink, to celebrate. And this is a consumption within about 2 hours of at least four or more drinks for women and five or more drinks for men. Look at the difference. The difference is women have a higher risk to develop liver disease or the effects of alcohol, whether it's cardiac or dementia, than men. Kaya ang babae, 4 lang, medyo binge drinking na yan. Sa lalaki, 5. Okay. So binge drinking, as I mentioned, refers to a lot of alcohol in a short period of time. Remember, it's 2 hours. And of course, when you talk of binge drinking, this is now being commonly seen and a pattern of drinking that brings blood level alcohol concentration to more than zero point zero 0.08 grams per deciliter. And for men, it responds to 5. And as I mentioned, beer is often the one being used. And this is actually related to binge drinking, followed by liquor or wine. So just remember, most of the time they will say, "Oh, let's go." That's why San Miguel is and all of these big companies for alcohol really puts a lot of effort on beer. Okay, so the course of my presentation will focus on the burden of alcoholic liver disease, the paradigm shift of the so-called safety limits of alcohol. I will discuss policies because I think this is related to whatever public health we are actually going to get over this, and of course, challenges in implementations and policies. So, how is this evident? First, there are about 2.4 billion globally people globally who were actually current drinkers, with about 1.5 billion of male, more on male, but 0.9 billion in female. So you can just see, and this is the amount of alcohol, a current drinking prevalence of both in Asia, of men and women, just showing that there seems to be a lot of countries that actually splurge on alcohol. There are very few. This is the light yellow, which is actually very less than 19.9%. But you can see here that the prevalence is very high in some countries, those that are markedly blue. And this is actually where we draw our concern. Now you can see the Philippines here is still in the light yellow, less than 20%. But you can see now that it is changing. And I'll show you the figures later on. So WHO has attributed the so-called DALYs. DALYs is the daily active life years, no? So the life years of death is very high, and you can see here different infectious, epilepsy, cardiovascular, digestive, unintentional injuries. It is a 4 point, it is actually part of the very high 4.9% actually of this alcohol use disorders are related to death. And when it affects your daily living or life years, no, you can see that it is very high at 13.9%. So this is a direct indication that it takes an effect on the quality of life, especially of patients who are alcoholic, as far as drinking is concerned. And when you see the global burden of the disease as for the liver, you can see that alcohol use compensated cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is when your liver gets small because of its effect on liver disease. A lot of burden as far as, look at this, 1% of all worldwide death is related to it. Having said that, when do you see this drinking? As I mentioned, especially in holidays. I just included this because I just wanted to show that when it comes to the bare months, September, October, November, December, especially in the December, when parties are very high, you can see that there is an increased monthly consumption or sales of alcohol by case, showing that there is such a thing as holiday drinking facts, wherein our patients actually, when they go to went to work, over after holiday party, very high, 96%. And when you see these patients to actually have 60% thinks. In fact, I remember you need to have alcohol when you have fun. And they will say in 57% during that, people will go driving under the influence of alcohol. And this is accidents, especially on the 31st of 21 or on the 24th. So on the, yung mga Noche Buena natin, after that, when they start to go, actually almost of them would actually drink and drive. Because I almost remember this when I ask a patient, how long are you drinking? And they will say, oh, only on occasion. And what you will find out is there is always an occasion every week. They will find ways to get together and drink. I'm not saying that that's how the Filipino culture is. So this is something to remember, that holiday drinking facts is evident. And when you want to see alcoholic liver disease, it is quite prominent during the holidays. Now, what about the percentage of recorded? This is, I just wanted to show you, this is where we are, Western Pacific region. And you can see that most of them, they actually drink spirits, and 30% actually drink beer, and of course 4% drink wine. No? So just to show the spirits are yung mga rum, no? Mga gin. No? This is where most of our members of our community would drink. And on the right side of your screen, which Asian country? The Philippines top, South Korea tops it, that's the drinking. And of course, the Philippines is actually on the lower ground. But as I mentioned, this is changing in time. This is a source of 2015. Maybe after COVID, it has really changed. And this is just to show you that who actually have the heaviest drinking problem. So, but when it comes to rum, I was so surprised to see this, that the Philippines actually tops the number of alcohol consumption. So if you're asked, best gin drinkers is actually Philippines. You can see here even the rum. Of course, Cuba is the one producing rum. But we don't, look at this. The Philippines is overall in the Asian countries, we are in the top 3. And here, as far as gin is concerned, we are the top. So this is just to tell you that a lot of our Asian countries do drink, but it is beer. But when it comes to alcohol of gin and rum, which actually carries a higher percentage of alcohol consumption or alcohol percentage, amount of grams of alcohol per drink is higher with rum, with gin, with these specific kinds of liquors compared to beer, which is only 12 grams. So this for me is worrisome, knowing that this is actually going to be a problem in the next few years. So people say, and I have my husband is a cardiologist, and they always say, drink 1 glass that is good for your heart. They say it can lower risk of cardiovascular disease. It can help prevent against common colds, the usual thing. It decreases the chance of developing dementia. It reduces the risk of alcohol and lowers the chance of diabetes. So these are the misconceptions that we have. And on the right side of your screen, this is where you have a lot of this brandy carries a 40%. Look at this. This is one bottle, and this is just 1.5, showing that you have a very high alcohol content amount of brandy. So just told you 1.5 versus 12, and you can see 40% is alcohol when beer only carries 5%. So that is something that you need to diversify when you care history for your patient. I just want to know, these are the misconceptions, the benefits of alcohol consumption. And that's why under, is there really a benefit? So this is the latest figure of what alcohol can do as far as global deaths are concerned. And just to show you, cirrhosis of the liver is 48% of global deaths. You can see cancers, epilepsy is there, colon, all the cancers, liver, esophagus, stomach, even the pancreas is related to that. And you can see even breast has been linked to it, and ischemic heart disease, the only one. And it is only negative 1%. Very minimal benefit of alcohol, showing that it actually is not as beneficial as people say it is, but it has carried a lot of the attributable fractions of global deaths. More than that, this is the latest figure, because we used to measure one standard drink is good. And now the recommendation of the Asian Pacific Study of the Liver is zero consumption. Now, why? Because it has been found that when you consume, this is the standard drinks, your risk to develop overall risk of health loss becomes higher as you drink. And even one standard drink can have a relative risk of health consumption. On the right side of your screen, this is the 58, almost 60,000 Korean adults that actually were given with metabolic associated fatty liver disease with fibrosis carries now a higher risk of developing alcohol related liver disease. And that is why the recommendation of the page of this paper is whether you drink light or moderate, your FIB4 or your fibrosis score for liver disease is higher. And that is why it is consuming zero that is now related to minimize overall risk of all health loss. It becomes even problematic. And this is where the WHO has shown that the global for key risk factors before and alcohol and tobacco taps the list. You can see harmful use of alcohol, tobacco use, and the harm use has been certain strategy actually decrease alcohol consumption. Now, this communicable disease is actually where we we step public health issue, because alcohol is one of the contexts of the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. As I mentioned, this is just to show for that. The West implementation is less. 4% only carries no health policy. As far as banning is concerned, restrictions for ad in the Western Pacific, you can see here, there is none. Partial ban time is seen. And when you look at this, minimum age limit, 18 years old for most of the countries, but for wine and beer. But is it implemented is something that is is concerned. And for excise tax, yes, a lot of the Western Pacific region has actually excise tax for beer, but the others, even if we have policies of excise tax, legal amount of legal age for drinking, the issue now is, are these all implemented? Warning levels, not like this is the where we need to really work hard, because there are warning levels for smoking, but there are no warning levels for alcohol. Just to show you that this becomes now a reason why in the Philippines, this is what we have. Drinking is more fun in the Philippines. These are all ads. You can see here, as I mentioned, before I used to see very much less women drinking, but now women drink as much as men. So, and you can see here that keep calm and drink like a Filipino. See, look at these concepts that they have. We even celebrate Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is celebrated in Germany for political reasons, but for the Philippines, there's no reason why we need to celebrate Oktoberfest. So just to show you, this is binge drinking on the left side of your screen. Women drinking, both risk develop liver disease. And this is where how these ads really coin that drinking is more fun in the Philippines. So how is it related in the Philippines? This is the relative risk of total prevalence of heavy drinking. We have a very high prevalence drinking, and the challenge is that we need to have a multi-sectoral approach, coordination, and focus. There should be a concentration on the globalization of economic action and the cultural position of drinking and corresponding concepts. So here, these are the challenges we need to face. And you can see here that in Southeast Asia's Filipino were found to be the highest consumers. Southeast Asia, not the Western Pacific. So in Southeast Asia, the Filipinos are the highest, after second only to Indonesia, and that there was a high PhilHealth claim due to alcohol of over 68 million per year and a 42% support value of PhilHealth, and that the mean out-of-pocket cost of sick people reach as high as 94 million. So in other words, we see a lot of this drinking even in the lower economic strata, because they are the ones that actually are affected, because these are the patients who actually have out of pocket, and this becomes a problem as far as health issues are concerned. Are they younger? Definitely. This is a figure that was found in 2015 showing, look at this figure, almost 60% or 70% drink before age 14. And look at this. This is worrisome. Some of these patients actually had drink with friends, but you can see here that they are allowed to drink alcohol at home. So even because they think that there is a benefit of alcohol, and when you drink in the house, it's fine. But as I mentioned, there are already issues now on controversial issues now on actually saying that this is actually good for the liver. Now, here is the excise tax that we have. These are the different RAs showing that the excise tax has gone up, gone down, gone up. And now we have a 2018 excise tax of that 10,963. But now I am very fortunate that this Republic Act was passed. And this is the sin tax bill, which is passed by the Duterte, imposing higher taxes on alcohol, tobacco, and e-cigarettes in January 22, 2020. Now, this is just to show you that even if the government puts a high level of sin tax, we need to actually see that this is implemented. And here you can see that tobacco runs very high. Tobacco is here. Tobacco is actually the petroleum products is the yellow. Tobacco is actually the gray, very far from alcohol. So you can see that it actually carries a excise tax, but tobacco is running over as far as rebalancing of revenue for alcohol is concerned versus tobacco. So tobacco is actually working harder, and I'm very thankful that you actually picked up this season to tell us that we are actually need more voices out there to level taxes or increase the tax excise tax for now. There are three recent bills were enacted. This is the tobacco law. This is the sin tax bill, and for alcohol, that this is actually where you get 25 alcohol, very high, and this is actually the concept of the sin tax, that increasing tax, does it decrease the amount of people who actually drink? Showing here is it doesn't. This is a 2021, that was 2020, still one for binge drinking, as I mentioned, the risk to develop. And 4 in 10 Filipinos reported alcohol use in the past 30 days. This is a survey of non-communicable diseases done in 2021. And men consume more than women. But the glaring fact is the cost of alcohol harm has gone up to 200 billion. So just to show you that we really need to work harder for alcohol, because alcohol-related harm was greater among Filipinos, especially in 2021. Now, what about these policies and interventions? I just wanted to show this because you can see that we have written national policy, we have excise tax, we have the minimum legal age, we have the restrictions on off levels. You can see for hours, yes and no for days. Specific levels, actually no for intoxicated person and petrol stations, but for specific events, yes. And you can see here the legal binding regulations for alcohol was not you see on the containers, and that there's national monitoring system, no, and the national government support for community action, yes. But of course, now, especially in elections, you can see people drinking everywhere. So this is something that worries us, because even if there is a written policy, even if there's a national action plan, implementation of this is a problem in the community. What is more glaring is even big establishments carry this. This is, I remember we actually went this in the Senate hearing in 2019, where I was really surprised to see alcopops. Alcopops are where you see this drink, and then they put a certain amount of alcohol, and they put it next to the energy drinks and next to the drinks that children would like to get. So this is something that worries me, because this was published as a problem. And I admire Senator Cayetano for highlighting this, its adverse effect. Because even if there's small amount of alcohol that you put in alcohol pops, when you drink 10 of that, because it's sweet and it gives you a good rhythm, you actually have the same amount of alcohol that you use in 12 grams. But as I mentioned, recommendations have changed, and now safety limits of alcohol is not seen, especially when you have fatty liver disease. So the WHO launched the SEER, that every 10%, 10 seconds, a person dies from alcohol-related causes, whether it's heart disease, traffic crashes, or cancers.
As I mentioned,
And this then needs for us to strengthen restrictions on alcohol availability. Um, Even if you see it to be implemented by the law, you can see a sari-sari store next to a school premise that actually sells alcohol. So this is actually worrisome. So in other words, enforcement, implementation, and actually screening of brief interventions should be done even in the community level. Now, solutions are actually there. We have public health, technical support, resource mobilization, and of course, knowledge. So we build on youth. In the youth has, and that's why I was offering a lecture series, not only for the for the lay, but in schools, because the schools need to be addressed as far as high school students are concerned on the different educational programs for alcohol health hazards. For me, there is no reason for us, as long as we say safety limits is not, there is no benefit of drinking alcohol, and binge drinking is related to alcohol, liver disease, and even to pancreatitis, and therefore you need to say this message, because there is no safety limits for alcohol as of now. It became a problem during the COVID-19, because at that time people were, I remember, I was when they announced a lockdown, so I was in the grocery. People were not buying food or vegetables; they were buying alcohol. They were actually splurging on alcohol and piling up their cabinets with such during the time of lockdown. So this increased the amount of alcohol during COVID-19. And this was a published reports that 54% of social media users say they were drinking more beer since being confined in their homes during the COVID-19. So this, I think, is also seen in our country. So the issue settled is that there are 3 million alcohol attributable deaths, and 2016 had adverse impacts on health, and it is a public health concern, and we need to strengthen and sustain efforts to reduce the harmful use. Despite evidence on effectiveness of alcohol, cost-effective policies of implementation. So even if the law is there, but there's no one implementing it, no one actually answering to all of these concerns. And therefore, we challenge our health advocates to develop new grounds of advocacy. And I think this forum, I hope, will raise more awareness that there is no benefit of alcohol. Let me say it again, safety limits of alcohol has been questioned, and therefore there is no safe amount of alcohol that you can drink. With that, I'll be happy to answer questions, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for that insightful talk, Dr. Diana. From holiday drinking facts, the Philippines being the top drinkers of gin and rum compared to our Asian neighbors, key statistics like every 10 seconds a person dies from alcohol related causes, to the recent paradigm shift, which emphasizes that there is no safe limit. Zero consumption, according to recent literature, minimize overall risk of all health loss. You also shed light on the existing policies, but emphasize that while the policy is there, implementation is another concern we need to monitor. Keeping us up to date with the recent knowledge in alcohol is indeed a first step in our journey to awareness of alcohol harms. The Philippines, or us Filipinos as a whole, has a very long way to go on recognizing our risks and mitigating them in our alcohol drinking behaviors. Health promotion, especially in our vulnerable populations like children, is crucial, especially during this time where alcohol burden keeps rising in the country. Again, thank you, Dr. Diana, for your generosity in sharing us your time and
I can
expertise.
answer questions right now. Okay.
Uh,
I see one question here by AJ Montesa. Not a question, but just an observation. I think one of the main contributing factors is that the it is alcohol is too cheap. Yes. I remember there was a big event in a big rally or a big concert wherein a lot of people died because of a certain issue on alcohol. They were selling alcohol cheaper than water. How did I know? Because one of my patients came from there and wanted to be assessed whether she had intoxication from the alcohol. So, yes, this is very true. And that is why when you increase the excise tax, that will actually make alcohol more expensive than other drinks. That's the key factor. If our people or our community members cannot buy alcohol, then that will be one reason for them to actually decrease in its consumption. That's a moot and academic. So that makes it easier to treat market. Yeah. I remember when I was lobbying the syntax bill, in front of me were all the the distilleria saying in front of my face that there is no such there is no adverse effect of alcohol. As I mentioned, Lancet has published it. The Asian Pacific study of the liver has convinced us already that there is no safety limits of alcohol, and that if you need to drink, you need to be wiseful. When to stop, how to drink, and if you need to binge drink, is actually not is frowned on. So hindi na yung totoo yung the more you drink, the more you become a risk to the liver disease. I have patients who just consume a certain amount of alcohol for sleeping. Now they develop fibrosis and liver disease. So I guess that is something that is really concerning for me. Are
Hi,
there any other
Donna.
questions?
Dr. Diana, if I may. We actually have a few questions from our audience. So the first one is, what do you think are some guiding principles of treating acute versus chronic alcoholism with and without the confounding aspect of addiction?
Okay, when we talk of acute, there is no such thing as, what is it? Acute, what did he say?
Acute
Acute.
versus chronic alcoholism.
Okay, in acute alcoholism, these are patients who drink for a short period of time. So, how do you treat? Well, of course, with chronic liver disease, chronic alcoholism, these patients has been drinking for quite some time. There are different ways to hit addiction for alcohol. There are different behavioral therapies, different pharmacological therapies. Baclofen is one of them. But at the end of the day, there is always recidivism. Ano ba yung recidivism? Balik ng balik. In fact, we frown on giving transplantation for patients whose liver disease is due to alcohol because of the fear that these patients will actually go back in drinking. Ang tawag that is recidivism. So, in such a scenario, how do you differentiate? Well, it put an academic. You tell these patients to stop. You need behavioral therapy. There are Alcoholic Anonymous, as I mentioned, who will help this chronic alcoholism. For acute, they drink on specific events. So, as I mentioned, there is no safety limits. So, I think you have to redirect. This is lifestyle evaluation, behavioral changes. And that is why it's difficult to achieve. It's just like smoking. Some people smoke inside the CR because they say that it helps in their bowel movement. You need to change that because smoking, whatever amount, affects health, just like alcohol. Alcohol, whatever amount, affects health. Any other
Uh,
question?
Thank you, Dr. Diana. Actually, there's another misconception that an audience raised. What do you think? What can you say about the effect of alcohol on the brain cells?
Well, you know for a fact that when you, it's common knowledge, na layman's. Let's speak of layman's. Are your participants doctors?
We have a mix of participants po.
Okay, so I will talk less sign. So when you drink, you have difference in mentation. Kaya nga gusto nila yung umiinom kayo kasi you lose your inhibitions. So definitely it affects our brain cells. And therefore, this then, in chronic alcoholism, you can see these patients developing dementia already. So hindi totoo na it's a treatment for dementia. It's the other way around. You actually lose your memory because it affects. Uminom ka ngayon, the next day, what do you have? Hangover. What is hangover? Severe dizziness, vasculitis, vascular impairment. So this then just tells you that it affects even your mentation in a prolonged period of time. In a short period of time, you drink too much, binge drinking. It doesn't only affect your liver because of the alcohol dehydrogenase. It affects more of your mitochondria and therefore produces dysfunction. But it also affects your brain because you have a hangover the next day. The first cause of liver failure, you develop jaundice, ascites, is when you have binge drinking and the next day you need to work, you need an exam, you pop two tablets of acetaminophen. Both of them acts on the liver. You have activation of your CP450, which is where it is actually acting on the liver, and this develops liver failure. That is the number one cause of liver failure in the US. So what I'm trying to say is no good alcohol amount. Yun ang gusto kong maintindihan natin. There is no safety benefit of alcohol. That has been said in a lot of the lectures already. Any other question?
Thank you po, Doc. Actually, that's kind of related po sa next question. One of our participants also said that there is recent literature that even the most drinkable alcohol ethanol at any concentration level can be toxic both in the short or long-term consumption. The audience want to ask, what are your personal thoughts on this research finding? Do you,
I already said that that is not a misconception. That is a concept. And it changed paradigms. That's why it's difficult to discuss. Kasi lahat ng tao, pag inimbita ka, may alcohol. Tapos here you come saying, alcohol is bad for health. But that's the truth. That's why it takes a while. Hindi ka mukha ng tobacco. You can actually, some people, I presume you guys, after your exam, ikaw, Crizel, I presume you underwent the binge drinking when you were young, or even now after a hard work drink, you binge drink, no? Remember, babae ka, so your risk is higher. But as I mentioned, the treatment for alcoholic liver disease is what? Stop drinking. So if you are lucky to get the next day without any liver disease, as long as you don't drink every day, your liver will actually recover. The liver is such a huge organ, and it always regenerates. It regenerates its hepatocyte if you stop drinking. You don't need all of this, yung mga ina-advertise na gamot, you don't need those. All you need to do is to stop drinking and your liver will go back. There is regenerative mechanism of the liver disease. Pag meron kayo niyan, umiinom ka, your risk becomes higher. So it is now the presence of fatty liver disease and you drink even a sip, your risk becomes higher. So in any way, if you look at it, the logic for you to understand, just don't
na-call
drink.
out niyo pa po ako doon, Doc. So, thank you so much po. For the interest of time, we will be putting on hold some of the questions that we have gathered, but we will be sending them to you should you want to answer them, and we can share them to our audience po after this webinar. So again po, Dr.
Thank you
Diana,
for the
thank you
invitation.
so much po for taking the time to be with us today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you po. So everyone, let's keep our questions. Still have a Q&A portion later on, and we can also share your questions to our esteemed speakers, and we will get back to you with their response after the webinar. So now let's move on to our next speaker, who also graciously gave us her time and effort to be with us today. Dr. Donnabel Tubera-Panes is the City Epidemiologist Medical Officer 4 at the Health Services Office, City Government of Baguio, overseeing CESU, the Tobacco Control Program, the National TB Control Program, and the Infectious Disease Cluster. She earned her biology degree from UP Baguio and medical degree from St. Louis University with a master's in public health and a diploma in international health from UP Open University. She also completed the WHO Global Tobacco Control Leadership course at Johns Hopkins University in 2012. As an academician, she holds teaching positions at the Pine City College and St. Louis University. She has presented in numerous conferences for tobacco control, public health policy, and pandemic response. Her contributions have earned her numerous awards, including the Presidential Lingkod Bayan Award 2025, St. Louis University Gawad Pangulo Award for Professional Excellence 2024, and UP Baguio's Outstanding Alumnus Award 2023. Let's give Dr. Donna a virtual round of applause.
Thank you, Crizel. Magandang tanghali sa ating lahat. Parang sobrang timing naman ng aking pag-speak dahil katatapos lang kumain. Feeling ko may iinom dyan. But anyway, can you see my slide already?
Yes po, Doc.
Crizel?
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, naka-share na siya as PowerPoints, no? Presentation, ano? Okay na? Yeah,
Yes.
I subtitled my topic as alcohol exposed. So probably you will already know that my objective would be exposing the hidden um, harms of alcohol that we don't really see. Kasi sa packaging ng tobacco, nakikita natin yung mga text graphic health warnings, no? Pero sa alcohol, wala pa eh. So, let's see, baka ganito na ang magiging itsura ng alcohol packaging natin in the future. Let's see. AJ and Pia of AER are here together with Rain and Dr. JR and Dr. Yohani. They're also all advocates in this cause. So these are my disclaimers for this topic. And yeah, araw ng kagitingan, nandito tayo. Supposed to be we're spending it with our family, coming up with a good vacation day, pero we spend it here. So feeling ko may purpose na nandito ka sa lecture na to. So I think I'm looking at the audience. It's a combination of a general public and some are actually health workers as well. But you chose to be here. So I kind of uh, define, no? Bakit nga ba Araw ng Kagitingan? It talks about valor and bravery. At bakit tinaon ng health promo na Araw ng Kagitingan? So probably we want each one of us to be uh, yan, a person who's brave, etc. And kaya ang ginawa ko yung aking objective in such we want to speak out against the social norms that normalize harmful drinking. Nasabi na ni Doc kanina yan eh, na feeling natin normal na lang uminom ngayon because of our culture as well. And at the same time, we kind of go deeper, with a deeper purpose to take courage to challenge powerful industries. No, medyo mabigat tong statement na to. And at the same time, to push for policies that protect public health. And on the last part, I would kind of show you what the city of Baguio has been doing to encourage everyone. You might be working in a local government unit, you might be in the media, or isang ordinary citizen, to encourage everyone na pwede pala or pwede pa. So that would be in line with the Araw ng Kagitingan objective. So last, this week alone, meron tayong mga nakita in our walls about group of medical experts and health workers really making an issue, making it an election issue on not just dati sigarilyo lang or vape lang. Ngayon, we're really coming up with a very strong statement na kailangan i-tax na rin natin ang alcohol na greater than what we have been having right now. So, just to tell everyone na may mga nangyayari at the national level na makakapag papigil ng paggamit ng mga pag-inom ng mga sigarilyo. So I kinda present this in a 4-question, 1 expose thing. And we will answer these questions, itong 4 na to. Alcohol, the most dangerous drug. Alcohol causes cancers and injuries. Alcohol is not a recreational drug. And alcohol is a financial burden. So some of which na-touch na ni Dr. Diana. So I will emphasize more on those and not mentioned yet by Dr. So let's look at this first question. Alcohol, first expose. Alcohol, the most dangerous drug. So this is a study done um, in other countries labeling alcohol as the most dangerous drug. And it was actually caught by the Department of Finance and came up with their own social media card, recognizing that indeed alcohol is the most dangerous drug. As you can see, this figure on the right na inadopt ng Department of Finance on the campaign on raising sin taxes for universal healthcare. That's a very strong recognition by the national government that it has to be recognized as a public health problem and we need taxation as a goal. And that's the slide here would tell us that there are no 2.6 million deaths just in 2019 alone. Wala pang COVID noon. That's equivalent to more than 350 deaths per day. So it is killing more people than COVID-19. That's how burdening it is in terms of attributable deaths to alcohol. This is a very good figure about the top causes of death in the country together with this comparative year 2015 and 2013 on the leading causes of death. Yung mga may arrow, lahat ito no related sa alcohol. Alcohol-related diseases, alcohol-related events, and kapag may nagawa tayo sa alcohol pa lamang, imagine the impact it will do in terms of our health outcomes, in terms of mortality. So it's something that we need to look on dahil strategic kapag alcohol ang ating dinil in terms of public health. So even this one, this is a timeline of the death by risk factors. Alcohol was already there as the most top factors for death even as early as 1990. So indeed, it is the most dangerous drug because it can kill 321 people every day. Number two, alcohol causes injury. So this is just a very good causal model of alcohol consumption. Ano? Pag umiinom ka, sabi niya dito, depende sa volume, sa patterns, at makakapag-cause ito ng acute and chronic outcomes, health outcomes, and it can cause mortality or death. Pero pa, may externalities din to. Buti kung ikaw lang mamamatay. Pwede kang at the same time, it's too burdening as well. But when we look at the societal vulnerability, meron dito, at the different levels of development, the culture, the drinking content, and alcohol production, distribution, and regulation are all vulnerable factors at the societal level na pwede tayong mag-act at the public health level. On the right side naman, would be the individual vulnerability factors, which includes age, gender, family factors, and socioeconomic factors, which I'll be going to discuss in the next slide. So the impact of alcohol is actually womb to tomb. From the unborn child to the elderly, titignan natin, no? Ano ang epekto nito sa fetus, sa unborn child, paano pag matanda na, senior citizen na, anong epekto nito? So it's kinda how do you call this, age-related itong effect ng alcohol nito. And anytime that you stop alcohol would actually benefit you currently and the next gen. So let's look at the baby, unborn child. So if a mother, of course, is drinking nung buntis siya, there will be a lot of effects. The devastating effects of alcohol in the body on the baby when a pregnant woman drinks would include no facial deformities, underdeveloped yung brain, may cognitive impairment yung bata, poor general health, sakitin yung bata, may learning disabilities, at paglaki ng bata, meron din siyang behavioral problem. So, makikita nyo na just a mom doing this can affect already the next generation. On the right side, you can see already the brain imaging, no, itong mga patients natin with fetal alcohol disorders. At ito yung mga facial features ng mga bata, ng mga bata na yung nanay ay umiinom. Ito naman makikita natin yung iba't ibang defects sa bata, sa baby kapag ang nanay ay umiinom, zooming into the heart, sa urinary system, oral clefts, sa tiyan, herniation, even in our bones, and even in our genitalia, they can cause actually birth defects. Let's go on to the children. No? Kapag ang bata no, nakikita yung magulang na umiinom, it normalizes the use of and the use of alcohol. And the one that this study was telling us was that if the parents are actually drinking, there will be trust issues, and this child would have self-judgment in the end. And what would be the impact to the children, no? If their parents are alcoholic, trust issues, self-judgment, skewed notions of normal, the difficulty of their emotions, a need for control, hypervigilance, and fear of abandonment. So, eto ang naisisend natin na message sa bata kapag tayo na adult ay umiinom din. We will see later on the intergenerational impact of this. So adolescents are 4 times more likely to drink alcohol if their parents binge drinking. So ito yung tinatawag natin na modeling. Kaya merong ginawang research no recently among high school students. Tinanong sila, for the past days, did you drink alcohol? And did you vape? Did you use marijuana? Did you smoke? Actually, pinakamarami sa kanila drank alcohol in the past 30 days. When in fact, hindi mo naman dapat mabentahan yan dahil the Age Act says you cannot sell alcohol to minors. Okay? So this is the one that the study lang napakita na to ni Doc, but it's just reiterating about the percent of youth who are currently drinking alcohol beverage by sex in 1994 to 2021. Makikita nyo pababa yung trend ba 2021. Pero eto, may ginawa AER did an estimate, dumoble no from 2021 to 2023. So this is 21, the one on the right is 2021. And now there is an alcohol epidemic among young people, doubling it from 2021 up to the present. Ano ba ang epekto ng alcohol sa brain? Mayroong natanong po kanina. Ito po on the left, because alcohol crosses the blood-brain barrier, right? So ito yung effect niya sa forebrain, sa subcortical midbrain, at sa ating sa likod. So it kind of cause a lot of impairment, especially in their cognitive functions, no? And if there is an effect of their cognitive functions together with their effects on the prefrontal cortex, more likely, no, itong mga adolescent natin, they will, if they have drunk, the risk of the risky driving, violence, binge drinking, drug abuse, unsafe sex, which will lead to a lot of HIV cases, would probably be the consequences now. The risky driving itself will have an externalities. You start to kill people with these injuries that you cause, even in the violence. Dagdagan mo pa, no? Risk, nakainom ka na, you go into driving, ang pangit pa ng daan sa Pilipinas, kagaya niyan, sa ride, madilim pa, dagdagan pa natin ng dilim, hindi ganun kaganda ang ilaw sa daan. It will put more people to higher risk of this motor vehicular crashes. So ito yung mga kailangan nating i-consider when we're coming up with these policies together with the public health policies on alcohol. But we need to deal with these alcoholic children. Ang tanong dyan, saan natin i-refer? Kanino natin i-refer? Marami bang experts sa pag-deal sa mga bata na alcoholic? So those are the questions that I would like to pose to the public. On the other hand, ito naman ang effect niya sa adult. Ito na yung na-mention a lot by Dr. Dayan. So I kind of just show you this graphic presentation of the immediate and long-term effects of alcohol, which brings me to this topic on may epekto ba ang pag-inom sa puso natin? When we thought everybody was saying moderate drinking is okay, moderate drinking can protect the heart. It's not. This is a very good study done that even the World Federation, latest lang to, 2022, contrary to popular opinion, alcohol is not good for the heart. This directly contradicts the common and popular message that alcohol prolongs life, chiefly by reducing the risk of CVD. So kailangan i-unlearn natin yung information na yon, because these are latest researches on alcohol and coronary heart disease. And looking at hypertension, ano ang sinabi ng research na yan? Meta-analysis, very powerful methodology. Sabi niya, reducing consumption of alcohol would decrease blood pressure. Even in this randomized controlled trial among Australian drinkers, sabi yung mga umiinom ng alak, higher risk for atrial fibrillation. On the other hand, may isa pa ulit pag-aaral, yung diabetes. Inom ka ng alcohol, inom ka ng alak para magamot yung diabetes mo. Actually, may randomized controlled trial din na nagsasabi, no? Clinical trials, no effect on glucose and your hemoglobin A1C. Ito yung test ng blood sugar for the past 3 months sa isang pasyenteng may diabetes. Okay, another expose. When we thought it's just liver disease and heart disease, now it is pointing out to us now that there are a lot of studies relating alcohol and cancer. At the one you see on the right are the different cancers that is caused by alcohol. Oral cavity, the pharynx, the larynx, esophagus, especially of the squamous type, yung liver, colon, and rectum, and the breast cancer. For now, currently, 2021, yan pa lang ang alam natin. Baka in the near future, mas madami pa. Parang ganun din sa tobacco nun eh. Noong 1964, they only thought it was lung cancer. And now, we already know, up to the present, there are a lot of cancers caused by tobacco. So for alcohol, currently, it is proven already, it's a group 1 carcinogen, that alcohol causes the 7 types of cancer. And kung merong tobacco, a smoker's body, no, ito naman yung alcoholic body, no, tinatawag natin. So, ito yung pinakamagandang ipakita sa mga bata para makikita nila graphically anong epekto niya sa utak, anong epekto niya sa puso, sa liver, sa lapay, even in our reproductive functions, no? Sexual dysfunctions, pwede siyang makakause ng infertility, malnutrition, complications in diabetes, behavioral change, slurred speech, lung infections, and so on and so forth. These are already proven na by a lot of randomized controlled trial that alcohol can cause these diseases. At more than that, it can also affect our cognition, our functions in terms of cognitive decline, poor self-care, they miss their medical appointments, especially not itong mga elderly, the recurring falls or accidents. They will miss their frequent visits to the ER. There are a lot of GI problems and then uncontrolled hypertension. This is very visible among those elderlies who are drinking alcohol. Sana no, it will stop na lang to us the effect of alcohol when you drink it. The thing is that there are a lot of studies already that is telling us that there is an intergenerational influences of early alcoholic use. So you are not just affecting the current generations, but even in the next generations to come. And we need to break this chain. We need to break this cycle. Dahil ang dami ng pag-aaral niyan. The intergenerational transmission of alcohol expectancies in a high-risk sample, sinasabi dyan, no? The results suggest that fathers' alcohol use behavior is more influential in boys' alcohol expectancy development than our father's expectancies. Ang sinasabi nito, pag ang tatay mo nainom ka na rin, tas yung anak mo iinom na rin, it's gonna be an intergenerational impact. So we need to stop that. Number 3, alcohol is not a recreational drug. It is an addictive drug. There are a lot of, this is an ICD-10 code of that. You can develop dependency on alcohol. And ito yung mga question natin. Is it really alcohol causing mental health problem or mental health problem induces one to use alcohol? It can be both ways. It can be that alcoholism may aggravate depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts. The same way with mental illness, it encourages the methods of self-medication and inhibits self-control. So it can both work both ways. And lastly, alcohol is a financial burden. It is burdening us directly and indirectly. So this is a study done in in the United States, that they look at the economic cost of alcohol to the society. This is a systematic review. At indeed, they have found out that the economic impact of alcohol abuse and alcoholism can be burdening to one's country in terms of this lost workplace productivity, yung mga umiinom, nagkakaroon ng hangover, hindi papasok. Okay, wag mo nang mag-raise ng hands kung ikaw yan. Okay, yung direct healthcare cost, na hospital ka, nahuli ka dahil drunk driving, okay? Or motor vehicular accidents and so on. So eto, pag nagbubugan dahil nakainom, ang dami-dami pa niyan. They are all economic burden. Sayang. It could have been spent to more productive cause. And eto, it's a very good slide. I think I got this from AER about the economic cost of alcohol, which is around 2.1% of the GDPs in low to middle income countries. And alcohol consumption exacerbates poverty and inequalities. So kailangan may gawin din tayo at this level in terms of taxation. Kaya merong move noon. I think this was a 2019 slide about the move to increase the tax for alcohol. Kaya pinakita to ni Dr. Diana. Ilan ba ang ini-spend ng PhilHealth sa pagbayad ng mga ganitong klaseng behaviors? So nakita natin na it is burdening in terms of treating 39 diseases associated with alcohol. At the same time, it's a developmental issue. Nasa SGD 3.5 siya, making sure that we address this alcohol use even at the individual and population level. So I'm almost arriving. So sinasabi dito na, sabi kanina paulit-ulit na sinasabi ni Dr. Diana kanina, that even the WHO, the first time that we heard of this statement was in January 4, 2023. WHO says it doesn't matter how much you drink. The risk to the drinker's health starts from the first drop of any alcoholic beverage. The first drop. The only thing that we can say for sure is that the more you drink, the more harmful it is. Or in other words, the lesser you drink, the safer it is. That's why they coined this SAFER acronym on addressing alcohol use to all member states. Kaya meron na tayo, nandito si AJ at saka si Pia, no? Ito yung pinupush natin, action for economic reform model estimates, na taasan ng presyo ng mga ito para we will make it less accessible. At the same time, we can use the funds for public health use. So let's look at naman, ano ba pwede natin gawin? At our own level, individual level, but I'm presenting to you now, would be that's what the city of Baguio is doing in terms of alcohol access and all of this SAFER framework, no? So number one, meron kaming S thing na mga ginagawa sa city on ito recent lang to, Baguio City Council bans alcohol in government offices. Actually, nire-reiterate lang ito doon sa provisions ng civil service in terms of guidelines on alcoholic consumption in the workplace. So na-recognize ito ng City Council just recently in the city of Baguio. Ano pa ang merong policies na meron sa Baguio? Ordinance number 01/1990, it's actually an ordinance on selling and drinking liquor and no gambling in public places. So sinasabi dito, pinost namin to nung November 1 kasi baka may inuman sa sementeryo. So nilabas namin yan sa social media card during the November 1 activity, telling everyone you cannot sell and drink alcohol in public parks, including cemeteries, city alleys, and national roads and bus terminals. Meron din kami indirectly, meron itong effect sa alcohol in terms of what we call the silent night ordinance. So, kada alas 10 gabi, bawal nang mag-inuman, bawal nang how do you call this, mag-videoke, kasi at that time, everybody wants to rest. So, meron kaming silent night ordinance. Okay, so where within residential areas, subdivisions, and public streets in the city is prohibited. Another one is that we have these rules in preserving People's Park as cultural hub. Meron kami dito na explicitly nakalagay talaga, the ordinance bans activities like smoking, drinking, gambling in these areas, what we call the public parks. Curfew to minors would decrease the access among minors as well, and even the age on the 16 years of age, it means bawal maggala, and then it will prevent them from accessing this alcohol. Aside from the fact of their age, they will not be sold to with alcohol. May mga indirectly pa na meron kaming ginawa, like yung resolutions on anti-drunk and drug driving law, about reiterating this and in-emphasize talaga ang role ng Baguio City Police Office and Transportation Office in enforcing this. Hindi naman po kami puro huli lahat, meron din kaming compassionate compassionate city ang tawag namin doon sa Baguio City's advocacy in rescuing ito mga naglalasing sa kalsada, mga schizophrenia, and all of these people na nakikisada na natutulog na o na nakahiga. So, meron kami mga roving team headed by our mental health unit and Baguio City Police Office, giving them assistance to this. We need to give funds also for our enforcers, to give them funds for the alcohol breath analyzers para when they apprehend them, the objective way of testing them. And in the codified legal ordinance of Baguio, meron kami din nakalagay, behaving in a drunk, rude, and indecent manner to the annoyance of another person in any public place in the city is prohibited. Okay, even in parks, we have this environmental code of the city of Baguio. Selling or serving intoxicating beverages in any parks, bawal po siya. Okay? And even in our open spaces, we have an ordinance. Ang tawag namin sa ordinance na yun is the Healthy Open Spaces. At nakalagay explicitly ulit dyan, bawal manigarilyo, bawal mag-vape, and bawal ang alcohol. So meron kaming mga communication strategies to convey it to the public, no? Like kung merong motorcycle crash at dahil sa alcohol, ika-catch yun ng aming information officer and communications officer, i-emphasize na it's caused by alcohol. This kind of sends signal to the people na, hey, you don't drink and you drink and drive. So, eto, magagandang statement ito kasi it reminds the public of this danger of drinking alcohol and driving as well. Ito yung mga other activities pa na ginagawa namin in terms of communication. Ito very obvious, may mga succeeding slide namin, yung ginawa namin during COVID. Liquor ban, dire-diretso yan for months. Pwede pala, no? Kung may liquor ban, ibig sabihin nag-abstain ka sa alcohol for very long time. Pwede pala yun. So, that's the one I'm telling, pwede pala. So, because of that. And even taxation, meron kaming barangay level taxation and city level taxation in terms of, putting more taxes for those who sari-sari stores who sold liquor and cigarette. ito yung bayad niya, ito naman pag grocery, ito yung eateries, at meron din kaming city level fees in case na merong ganitong sari-sari stores na mag-business. The curfew ito yung mga COVID pala na to before, the temporary ban of selling of alcohol. Merong isang proposal noon on the city of Baguio, no? Sabi babawasan ng required distance ng inuman sa paaralan because it was at the start it was 150 meters I should say. Sabi ng proposal gawin nating 20 meters. So nagkaroon ng participatory governance ba tawag natin diyan. Tinignan yung pulso ng Baguio. Papayag ka ba bawasan ang required distance, no? Nung tinanong from 50 gagawin 20 ganon or ano, and then there was this a lot of discussions there, very very common na um nito mga comments doon sa Facebook post na yon, and consistently ayaw nila na bawasan. In fact, they were having one clamor, dapat layuan pa daw ang pagtitinda ng sigarilyo sa sa paaralan, sa ospital at pampublikong opisina, which I think hindi na natuloy itong policy na to for now. So my last slide would be, what would be our call to action? Knowing all of these health risks that we have as of 2025, huh? 5 years from now, there will be more of these diseases that we will be featuring probably later on, mas marami ng sakit. So know your risk. Okay? And there is no safe level of exposure to alcohol. So make sure that you know your risk. Lastly, for every one of us here, you might be in the academe, you might be a private individual, know your niche in the advocacy world. Pwedeng taga-share ka lang ng mga slides, pwedeng taga-comment ka ng mga misinformed na tao, pwedeng researcher ka, o pwede rin namang policy maker ka. If you're here, then push for a policy that will move us, no, to achieve our SDG goals and at the same time protect our next generation. So in summary, these are the ones that we have discussed. Alcohol harms the body. It is an economic burden, and SAFER is the most cost-effective way to address the harms of alcohol. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that insightful talk, Doc Donna. As we went through the 4 questions, one expose, we cannot deny anymore the increasing evidence of alcohol harms. From alcohol as the most dangerous drug, 2.6 million deaths per year or 350,000 deaths per day attributable to alcohol, or the expected increase in alcohol related deaths by 2030. That is just one. We also see that alcohol causes diseases and injuries, showing that effects of alcohol are intergenerational and has an impact in our own bodies and the next generation. From physical, mental, psychological, these are impacts of alcohol across the whole life cycle. You have also mentioned that alcohol is an addictive drug and not a recreational drug, where the relationship of alcoholism and mental health being a concern. And lastly, you have recognized alcohol being a trigger of financial burden, from the societal costs incurred at the national level up to the productivity losses of alcohol users and their households. This is a wake-up call for everyone. In the latter part of your presentation, it is very exciting to see that Baguio is pioneering the work on alcohol prevention. We are delighted to see that interventions across the safer spectrum are being applied in Baguio City. Considering your constituents' perceptions was also emphasized, which is important in effectively implementing these strategies. We hope that other cities can emulate this. Again, thank you, Dr. Donna. We are now in the interactive part of this webinar, and we now welcome questions from the audience. For those who have initially sent their questions, we have documented them already, and we will be going through this in the next part of the session. For those who want the opportunity to talk in our virtual stage, feel free to raise your hand and wait for your name to be called. I will be calling each one of you until the time permits us to do so. So for the first question po, Doc Donna, uh, our audience, Sir Edre, has noted that in other countries, Generation Z actually has lower alcohol consumption than the previous generations. Do you think this is reflected locally?
Doc Edric, nice to see you here. Yeah, baka titingnan na, is it the alcohol content? Is it the type of different types of alcohol? Or probably baka kumonte in terms of volume, pero in terms of the alcohol content. So those are the considerations. But tama yun, Doc. Meron na bang pag-aaral? I've been looking around sa different scholarly articles. Wala po tayong nakitang ganyang pag-aaral in the city, in the country, except that very categorical yung mga tanong natin sa mga surveys, even the National Health Demographic Survey, hindi ganon ka-specific yung mga questions din. So probably these are the research gaps that we can fill in terms of kumonti ba talaga o nag-iba lang siya ng type ng alcohol pero it's the same alcohol content that we have. So those are some of the gaps that I think the research or the academe can actually do.
Thank you, Doc Donna. We also have another question from Dr. Neki Soriano. And it says most religious groups and churches teach their members to avoid vices like alcohol drinking and smoking. How can we tap these types of sectors for an all of society approach to enable behavioral change and health promotion?
Yeah. Hi, Doc Neki. Actually, totoo yan. There are a lot of religious groups na ano nga niyan. And I think it's time that we come together and we come up with a very strong statement and make it an election issue. Parang sobrang timing, no? Sobrang timing nitong ano na to. Probably we we attend caucus. May mga caucus kasi dito sa city or probably in your areas and make it as an election issue para mapag-usapan. The mere fact na pinag-uusapan siya is already breaking the grounds. Mahirap po itong labanan, hindi kagaya ng ibang industry. Medyo may konting kahirapan ito because of this cultural um, the culture and the things that we attach to alcohol in terms of as a social drinker lang ako or din ako paano yan diyan lang ako nakikibanding yung mga ganon. So it's kind of difficult, but the thing is that if pinag-uusapan na kagaya nito ginagawa nating webinar na to, it will have a ripple effect up to the of course our target would be the policy makers. So in times of this election, baka pwede po siyang gawing election issue, Doc.
Thank you po, Doc. We have two questions that are slightly related po. One is, do you think we have a similar program to Alcoholics Anonymous that we can refer our patients to, or something similar to the DOH quit line for smoking cessation, but for alcohol dependence? Do you have any suggestions po on where we could refer patients for counseling?
Yeah, thank you, Crizel. Baka there are DOH participants. Baka meron dito taga-health promo ng Department of Health will probably address this. But at the city level, meron kaming Alcoholic Anonymous. Meron din kaming mga, how do you call this, referral system on if it needs an outpatient specialty care, we refer them to Baguio General Hospital. And if the patient would need an admission and an inpatient, meron din po kami sa Baguio General Hospital. So, meron ng network of referring this. Ang kailangan na lang is paano ito i-link doon sa mga tao na hindi naman nagfe-Facebook or hindi, alam mo yung, kasi everything we put them all on Facebook, we put them all on social media. For all we know, itong mga taong dapat nating i-target, especially they are already alcohol dependent, with alcohol dependence disorder already, nasaan sila? So, siguro ang iniisip ko dito would probably be how can the primary care facility navigate the patient. At sino ba, saan ba, paano ba sila mahanap? Andiyan ang mga PHW warriors natin. Alam nila ang bawat lasenggo sa kanilang lugar. Ngayon, ililink dapat nila sa primary care. For all we know, they can only just be primary care facility. We don't need this. Siguro mga tip of the iceberg na lang yung mga ngailangan ng specialty care. So siguro ang pinakamagandang gawin is ipasok sila sa navigation system para mai-link natin sila for the continuity of care.
Thank you po, Doc Donna. I think the emphasis on having a whole of society involved in our alcohol interventions is very crucial. Another question po from Dr. Victor 1. Is the CAGE questionnaire detecting alcoholism used worldwide, or are there any other standard or updated types of questionnaires that our healthcare providers can use to sufficiently assess alcohol abuse in an individual?
Hi Doc, thank you for the question. To be honest, I'm not familiar yet with the case because the one that we're using is actually the WHO questionnaire on among the secondary students lang. Mga estudyante po yung tool na meron kami. If you have that, we would gladly be, if you can share that, and we can use that in the city. Kasi medyo dyan kami strong in yung gumagawa talaga kami ng survey with regards to this. And I've been looking for a tool para kagaya nung Global Adult Tobacco Survey and the Global Youth Tobacco Survey. Baka meron pong kagaya for alcohol. Pwede po ba namin hiramin yan dahil gusto din namin gawing baseline for the adult use. For the secondary schools and high school students, meron na pong tool kaming nakuha from the the WHO. So otherwise, we're still looking for this tool similar to the GTS and GYTS. In this way, mami-measure, no? You cannot change the thing you did not measure. We need to have a baseline at the with the granularity para mas targeted din yung action namin even at the city level. Thank you, Crizel.
Thanks, Doc, for sharing that. I do agree po, no, if we can measure it, we can recognize it's an issue and
Thank
we
you.
can do something about it. This question is from HPP, Doc. What do you think is the role of misinformation in alcohol consumption, and what strategies can you think of, or what strategies have you done in Baguio to combat this?
Yeah, siguro ang best practice namin would be on tobacco because we're just taking off with alcohol, ano. The best I think, no, for baka that's how we kind of planning for it paano namin ginawa sa tobacco, baka similar din sa alcohol, and we started with the data. We started with how many alcohol users in the city, parang ganun din how many tobacco users, how many vape users in the city of Baguio. Kasi from there, you will already know who will be your target audience. 'Di ba? So, we started with profiling who they are in terms of this survey and then coming up with a very targeted actions. Basically, feeling ko din ang mga una mong mangungontra sa'yo dyan, when we will be expecting that would be the industry. From the bar owners to the grocery stores, etc. Because they are all part of this what we call the alcohol industry. So kailangan meron ka ding messaging sa kanila. Kailangan maraming studies na magsusupport sa advocacy na ito in terms of how can they balance yun, yung business nila, malulugi na kami. Ito pag-uusapan itong mga ito. But one thing for sure is that the strategy would be engagement. Ever since it was the strategy, even our mayor, Benji, has been doing since the time he was seated as the mayor. Engagement. Makinig ka. Pag bumaba ka, makinig ka. Don't talk. Just listen to the people and let's see what they want to say, how they want to do it para win-win yung situation. So it's more on breaking walls so that when we break these walls, we put more voices on the table. And at the same time, you have to get back to these people. Pag nag-comment yan sa Facebook, kailangan mo sagutin yan. Hindi pwedeng hanging sasabihin sa'yo, oh, what is this? Tas walang sumasagot. The trust will not be there. So the strategy there is that you close the loop, making sure that when they ask you something, you have to reply. And that closes the loop of that feedback mechanism and it elevates the trust. Ang pinaka-importante po dito is the trust. How is the government leading us into this advocacy, into this alcohol harms and alcohol exposed na gagawin natin. So it's probably be engagement. Okay. Participatory governance. I would love to say that when you plan, you have to involve a lot of people, and at the same time, close the loop. You give feedback to these people. So yun yung strategies.
Thank you po, Doc. No? So to recap, that's really engagement and having a bottom-up approach so that we can get the commitment of our own constituents to be part and take part in the interventions that we are doing for alcohol. Thank you po. Some of the comments po in the chat are actually related to the tool that you might want to put forward po in Baguio City. Oh, so for the last question po, I'd just like to close the Q&A session with this. How can policymakers and communities work together to implement interventions that reduce alcohol harm? So you have mentioned engagement po. Are there any other tips or suggestions that we can share and emulate as individuals din po to advocate for this cause?
Yeah. Thank you for that, Crizel. Gusto ko nga i-end din sa ganyan eh. Uh, the role of policy, no, here in this already fact na natin eh, meron kang futures thinking eh. Na you will come up with policies that is disruptive and not the usual because the challenges are already different. Meron tayong tinatawag na transformative leadership, no? Transformative leadership, the one that would bring us to a different level because the business as usual is not working anymore. And what did we see with the business as usual? COVID-19 in itself. I mean, who are the people who died of COVID-19? These are the people with comorbid conditions with very poor behavior. They smoke, they drink, had they known the harms of this alcohol, etc., then we could have mitigated the impact of this. And the next pandemic will come. And we're expecting a higher spillover, more spillover of this pandemic. So how are we preparing the next generation in terms of this pandemic? Because what we saw nga, behavioral, yung nakita natin na risk factors of those who died of COVID-19. Secondly, it's gonna be a bit challenging, because, siguro average age ng mga policy makers natin nasa Gen Z or millennials, no? But, we're preparing for a policy for the Gen Alpha and the Gen Zeta. I mean, so hindi na mag-work yung mga policies natin ngayon with aggressive, mas forward looking And at the same time, futures thinking. Ang daming scenario niyan. Futures Sorry, nawala. I think I'm done na, Rizal. Thank you.
I know it's okay. I think you have mentioned future thinking, and it's something that we should all think about. That what we do today may not apply tomorrow, so we need to consider that po when applying and creating interventions for the years to come. So thank you again, Dr. Donna, for that insightful talk and for sharing your expertise with us. So that closes our Q&A. And for everyone who is able to join us, the Health Promotion Program would like to invite everyone to open your cameras for a quick photo opportunity. Okay. Uh, just checking po, everyone. Let's give them another minute to open their cameras. Okay. Uh, at least on my screen, there are three frames. So please smile for all three countdowns. So for the first frame, uh, taking the picture in one, two, three. Okay. Next po. Taking the picture in one, two, three. Thank you. And lastly, for our last frame, taking the picture in one, two, three. Okay po. Thank you so much. Now, to formally close our event, we would like to invite to the virtual stage Dr. Michael Campoed, President, Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians. Doc Mikes, take it away.
Alright, maayong adlaw mula dito sa Agusan. Good afternoon, everyone. So as we conclude today's insightful webinar, I would like to express my gratitude to the speakers, Prof. Payawal and Dr. Panes, the organizers and the participants who have contributed to this vital discussion. So the alarming data and compelling narrative shared today underscore the urgent need for collective action to mitigate the harms of alcohol consumption on individuals and on our public's health. So alcohol basically is deeply woven into our culture, but as we've heard, its impact extends beyond social norms. It has an economic burden beyond 200 billion annually and affects millions of lives every year. And these figures are just not just numbers. It's also about the families that have been disrupted, the communities that have been weakened, and the lives that have been cut short. And public health practitioners and advocates must play a pivotal role in addressing this crisis. We are uniquely positioned to lead efforts in raising awareness, implementing harm reduction strategies, and influencing policies from education campaigns to LGU mobilizations to national regulations. The Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians shall continue in our movement for public health. The redirection of alcohol tax revenues towards universal healthcare was our country's success for systemic change, uniting advocates, policymakers, and also national agencies for public health. So the movements such as the Syntax Coalition demonstrate as well that advocacy can translate into impactful policies. And we will continue to amplify our voice in pushing for comprehensive alcohol control measures, particularly in areas where regulations remain weak and with an awareness of the social, the economic, and the human costs of alcoholism. So in today's discussion, we have made it clear that addressing alcohol-related harms is not merely a public health issue. It is our country's imperative. So I urge all of you to take what you have learned today and translate it into action. Let us advocate for stronger regulations, support evidence-based interventions, foster environments where healthier choices are not just encouraged, but also enabled. So let us remember that while challenges remain significant, so too is our capacity for change. Thank you once again for your participation. Thank you again to the organizers, UPNIH, HPP, Syntax Coalition, PSPHP, and my fellow advocates. Thank you for your commitment to this cause. Maraming salamat po at maging makabagong bayani para sa ating bansa.
Maraming salamat po, Doc Mikes. Your reiteration of our call to action is imperative and we hope to see change in the days or years to come. So this ends our webinar, but before we formally close, we would like to thank everyone who joined us today. We appreciate your time and support in making this event successful. We also request everyone to please answer our evaluation form, which is open until 5 p.m. today. Only those who were able to attend via Zoom will be eligible for CPD unit validation and certification. Only those who responded will be given a copy of their certificate of attendance. Please be on the lookout for future Unbottling the Truth evidence. In commemoration of World Health Day, the Unbottling the Truth webinar series is brought to you by the UP National Institutes of Health Health Promotion Program. This CPD accredited webinar is again in partnership with the Philippine Society of Public Health Physicians and co-presented by the Syntax Coalition. To know more about the health promotion program, please also join our newsletter through the QR to be shown in your screens. Again, thank you and we hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Our Zoom room will be closed by 2 p.m., so feel free to copy and paste the eval form. Thank you.
injuries. It is it is actually part of the very high 4.9% actually of these alcohol use disorders are related to death. And when